Okay, welcome. This is chapter 2. How does doing the decree help? Okay, so the decree helps by stabilizing your frequency and your energy because our energy is constantly yanked around and especially dropping into fear, which is very low 3D, and it can be terror, not just fear, but terror. And then guilt, shame, and all the rest, right? So, but a low frequency, fear being the primary expression that 3D wants you to emit like out into the world. So the decree is simple. You revoke what you don't want, you reclaim what you do, and you speak the decree in your own voice, and we update the energetic records that are only source aligned. So the decree premise is I am sovereign, I release what is not mine, I reclaim what is mine in source's name. The decree is done in your own voice, and that's why I put them up on YouTube, and also later they'll be put on podcasts so that you can just listen to it and do it in your own home, in your own time, and it's free. Right? So we can start releasing a lot of interference in our own schedule, in our own time. And we don't have to worry about money, right? Because 3D is all about us not having money. We're constantly taunted like, oh, you could have this luxurious lifestyle. But then we're barely getting by, which then just anchors more fear and more shame. That's basically the deception of 3D. You could be, there's only what 300 people that are really financially in charge of 3D, and the rest are, those are the billionaires and trillionaires. And then, it's false, right? It's fake. And then we get like all upset because we don't have this beautiful Instagram life. So the most sacred thing a heart-based human being, so source emanated being, is the right to choose for itself, always in every moment, timeline, and dimension. So consent is very important. And 3D is so convoluted, that is what they have been interfering with is consent. But if you say clearly, I revoke, in the decree, we're going to list what you revoke, and then we're going to reclaim what you do claim. Okay, so we're always looking at, is this source aligned? Do I want this energy clearing? Do I want this help? Because the most sacred thing a soul carries is the right to choose for itself, always in every time, space, dimension. Consent is the most misused, so it is the most precious. And that's why we have to ask. We have to ask our higher self for help or support or energy clearing. And we always wait for a sovereign yes. The first time I said to somebody, it just flew out of my mouth, you do not have my consent. And instantly, I've never even used those words. And instantly they said, take it back. Right? I know now they're a reptilian. And instantly, as soon as I said it, they're like, take it back. And I said, no, you do not have my consent. And I didn't back down. And that was in like 2021. And that was that. That ended that in a bang. So that's why it's so important in this work. And then you're going to get really crystal clear. When was your consent crossed? When has inferred consent be like when it has been interfering in your life? And you're going to get really clear. And if you've gone to here, I really suggest that you do the decrees in a row, because each decree builds on each decree builds, but it also helps secure your nervous system and your body.